Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we're here today to discuss the film Resurrection. I'm here with my friend Chad Lutzke. Chad, thanks for coming by, and you're here again. I'm
Yeah, of
surprised every time you say
course,
yes.
of course. I love talking movies.
Nice. I actually watched this one because you had recommended it during one of our conversations, and I wasn't sure. I like to go into these not knowing anything, and
Mhm.
it was quite a surprise.
Yeah. I also recommended Happiness, and I feel bad that I recommended it after seeing your review.
No, it was good. I liked it. It was one of those movies that I enjoyed it, and I appreciate what they did. I just don't know if I ever wanna see it again.
It's I don't know remember what year that movie came out, but I mean, I saw it at least 15 years ago, maybe
Mm.
20. So I don't remember a lot. I remember how good Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it, on the phone saying this crazy stuff, and then I remember the kid and the dad, and that was freaking hard to watch.
Yeah, there were some scenes where you just, like, wanna crawl out of your own skin because you just feel
And
like
then and then I remember the very last line of the whole movie,
yeah, it's
which is
yeah,
pretty unforgettable.
yeah, pretty
So,
unforgettable.
I don't remember a lot, but, yeah, that the dad and the son, that was, but it's just one of those movies. It's like, man, I really like that movie, but I'm gonna be real careful about who I recommend it to because I don't want them to be like, "What are you thinking, dude? You recommended me this," You gotta be into that kinda, you know, dark, depressing indie stuff, I guess.
No, I dug it. I was surprised the level of talent that was involved in it, and I
Mhm.
wonder if I don't think a movie like that would be made today.
Not a big yeah, probably what not with those that caliber of
Mm,
actors, probably not.
yeah.
But as far as, like, indie movie, I think so. Um,
Yeah, yeah, like unknowns, I think, but, like, that
yeah.
level of talent, I don't know if I think people would be nervous to be in a film like that now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
But I really appreciated what they did and, like, how the quality and how effective it was. It was something. So I feel bad saying I enjoyed it because it made you feel really uncomfortable the entire time.
Mhm.
But that's what
Yeah,
it's supposed to that's what it tried to do.
that's kind of just what I think that's my favorite movies are the ones that have some kinda impact on me, and I'm constantly thinking about them later on,
Mhm.
and uh I don't really watch movies to necessarily be entertained, but to be told a story so good that I think about it continuously afterward. And especially if it has an ambiguous ending like Resurrection, or if it's something that I just saw another, it's probably going to be my favorite of the year. I just saw um, Bones and All. I didn't
Yeah,
know anything about it going in. Man, that thing just floored me. Ah, man, what a good movie!
it's on my
It's a
list.
it's a perfect movie, I think.
Wow, perfect movie. Wow,
Yeah,
it's high praise. Gonna have to watch it this week then.
yeah.
Yeah, Resurrection, it's kept me thinking about it, um, since I watched it. I've been thinking a lot about it. I'm the same way. I like those movies that make you think about it long
Yeah.
after you're done. And there's some movies you watch and it's fine and you move on, but this is one of the ones that, like, you go back and look for hints or for clues or for indicators on what happened or what didn't happen.
Mhm. Yes, for sure.
And Rebecca Hall, wow. I mean,
She was good.
yeah,
She was good.
stellar.
I thought everybody with her and Tim Roth were really good in it. I like
And
him.
and Tim Roth had the little belly. I'm not sure if it was a real belly or if that was,
I
added
I I hope not. It seemed a little bloated, a little protruberous. So, but, it was probably fake.
Yeah, I kind of it looks fake. It didn't look it looked a little unnatural, but I think that's what they're wanting to kinda go for.
Did you wanna give, like, listeners a synopsis, or we just wanna jump right into.
Yeah, so the movie is about a woman who has her life together. She seems like she has everything under control and very confident, successful. Everything is kind of where it should be. And she spots someone who she recognizes, who we find out later was an old, I guess, boyfriend or old acquaintance. And we learn about her history with him and all the things that she went through. And she starts to fall apart. And she goes into this just spiral of um, I don't know, loneliness or depression and desperation and yeah, just but you wonder the things you find out. So you start to find out, and spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. You start to find out that she had known him when she was younger, and when she was about 20, he was about 40, from what I remember, because he's
Mhm.
60 in the movie.
Mhm.
And he kind of found her and kind of courted her and had her do things. I think he called them tributes, or what did he call them?
Uh, kindnesses?
Kindnesses. Had her do really uncomfortable things as a kindness, and he would reward her with affection or with praise, and like this control thing where he would control her. And we also find out that they had a child together, and one day the little boy disappeared. Ben disappeared, and he told her that he ate the child and that it's in him. And if she can't kill him because then she'll kill her child.
Yeah. Which, dude, I mean, I was enjoying myself anyway because I like slow burns and I like a movie that, even if it's just a bunch of dialogue, as long as there's something there where I need a question answered, you know. And so I was like, okay, what's going on with this? And just the whole, it felt, the acting was really good, the setup was good, so I was never bored. But when the second he said on the park bench that he's in here, dude, I was all in at that point. I was like, dude, what the frick are you talking about? I got to find out, more about what you were saying.
I think the even to the point where she puts her head down and kind of listens, and you can hear noises, so you start to wonder.
Yeah, yeah. Um, have you read what's the name of that book? Things have gotten worse since we last spoke.
Yeah,
Okay. Um, Not a big fan of that book. I did read it. I
me
I
either.
I, I was asked to blurb Eric LaRocca's some short story collection. I don't know what it was, which was phenomenal. So I don't want the fact that I didn't care much for the one book. I didn't want people to not. I think you should read his stuff. He's a great writer.
Mm.
That one, I don't know. I think it was just the way it was told, but there was a lot of comparisons for me there, like with the
Mm.
kindnesses and the abusive relationship, getting someone to do this crazy stuff, standing in initially before she started demonstrating the kindnesses, she talked about it and how, she would have to pose and do things in Eric's book. The girl was being, it's same thing, you know, they were in this role where this girl's like, I want you to, you know, sleep with the air conditioning on and freeze. I want you to go kill this salamander in the park or whatever and carry it around in your pocket and stuff like that. I want you to do this. Very similar, um, handled differently, but it reminded me of that
Mm. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of that one either, but I could appreciate what he was trying to do with it.
for
He's
sure.
trying to,
Hmm.
yeah. Um, the fact that she goes from this really confident, successful, everything's under control to almost immediately this she's doing these kindnesses for him. She's walking to work barefoot, and it goes from 0 to 60 in no time, because that's the kind of control that he had over her even after all
Yeah,
these years.
yeah. Um, I watched it again last night. I watched it while I was doing some artwork, so I needed to listen to it more than watch it, but I still watched it. But because there were some things that I wasn't, because I had one theory, which
Hmm.
there's a scene that kind of screws that theory up. So but I felt like it was a really strong theory. So I have some ideas, but just like with Come True, it's like none of them are truly solid because something screws my theory up.
What was your theory before you rewatched it? What was your
My theory was that Tim Roth he doesn't exist. He's not a he's she never had at least her in my theory is even stronger after watching it, except for the fact that there is a scene where he's served coffee and he says thank you and she says you're welcome.
Yeah, that's what I
Everything
thought back
else,
to.
when he shows up to the office, they just say there's a guy here to see you, and then in the next scene she's in the nobody else ever talks to him. So I thought that that he was never there, and that I noticed watching it a second time that there is a setup that starts to very cryptically explain that she has a history of mental illness. Her
Mhm.
daughter even says, "I think you're having an
An
episode."
episode, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a history there. She also talked about drawing, and that when she would, which clearly her drawings are wacko. She's not. You don't draw that stuff when you're in the right state of mind. Just tiny, like 10,000 tiny squares on a big piece of paper. And she would say, I'd just get so into this, I wouldn't eat and I wouldn't sleep. I think she said sleep, but I know she said, I think she said she wouldn't eat or would forget to eat,
Mhm.
which lack of sleep and, lack of nutrition and sleep can really destroy you mentally
Yeah.
and send you down a spiral, even more so if you're already headed there. So I think that something happened that she was traumatized by, and I think that it was probably maybe it was she had an abortion and she didn't know how to deal with the guilt later on in life, and so she was constantly trying to fill this void from this missing baby and dreamed up this almost like devil figure
Hmm.
that she wants to cast blame, and comes up with this outlandish story. And then when she gets into her episodes, that started to manifest itself again after so long. And I think that it was manifesting. I think that she was triggered by her daughter leaving, because now that void was going to be there again. She's reminded of her abortion, the baby
Mhm.
that she let go of before, and starts to dream up this. Even when she first meets the guy at the park bench, it's kind of like this. It could be it could be seen as like this inward battle, because at first he, even though he knows that she knows who he is, he plays it off like he has no idea.
Yeah.
But then he drops in a sentence, that says he knows, and then I can't remember exactly what he said, and then he's like, "Oh, he's here. He's here in my belly," and then they're talking again, and then he's acting again like, "I don't know who you are, Margaret." And so it's like this. It feels like this. It's breaking through that wall. This discussion with him until finally it's just full bore. Do you know what I mean? Like this,
Mhm.
that discussion might represent an eternal struggle, like this thing trying to come through, and then the healthy part of her denying it by,
Oh,
I don't know I don't know who you are. Um, and I think the end, not the very end, but the gory part, I think was just in her head and symbolic. Um, and I think the rest of that too, because there's a change in there's a change in her. I think that the very end is definitely not something that happened. I don't think that her daughter feels that way. Feels safe or happy or whatever she said. Everything is white. She's in white. The room is white. It's very dreamlike.
is it like an echo almost to their dialogue?
Yeah, and she could even be in a mental institution by that point.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I still kind of, except for the coffee thing, I still kind of think that he's not a real person. It never was.
Hmm.
Or whatever happened with this guy before. I mean, when people, if she did this and she felt guilt, she could have, a lot of people do something do things even when like people who suffer sexual assault or something like that. There's a lot of shame involved, and so they can, in order to deal with that, there's um, like an unnecessary shame involved. You know, they shouldn't feel the shame, but it's there. It turns into this strange guilt. You end up cutting yourself or self-medicating or somehow abusing yourself.
Mhm.
Um, Being promiscuous and trying to fill a void that was left, and not and having the idea of love being skewed. And so she could have been punishing herself this whole time by doing self-sabotaging and doing these self-harm behaviors that she kind of cast on this person who's not really this David guy who doesn't really like, kind of like her scapegoat.
Hmm.
That's that's my that's pretty much my theory for that, I think. I mean, there's another one, but I don't, and that's just basically that he was there. Um, I think the movie is smarter than that. I don't that you know I mean he could be that really there. I mean she certainly didn't cut a baby out of him. So
Yeah.
it's so at some point she checks out and we're not watching reality anymore. You know.
Yeah. And to Heather's point, Tim Roth is so creepy.
Yeah, he really
Yeah.
was very calm. And when they're in the hotel room, and he's like, you know, you can feel him kicking. It's such a bizarre scene, you know? And the way he's talking to her, yeah.
Yeah. The sounds that she could hear, and the like the crying, like a baby crying when she had her ear up to his stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was creepy. And I think back to that cafe scene where he was at the table and people were talking to him, and also the apartment that he stayed in. The attendant there, or the person at the desk, didn't confirm yes or no if that
Mhm,
there is a someone named David staying there, because they
mhm.
wouldn't say one way or another.
Yeah. No, and actually she said, I think she said, but she was very a woman of short like I think she just said no David,
Yeah.
I think is what she said. Um
And yeah.
but I also noticed there's another scene where the Rebecca's underling, I don't remember the character's name, Rebecca, but the the main woman, her underling, her coworker or whatever that
Mhm.
comes to her for advice and stuff. Or maybe she was an intern because I guess she was waiting to get some kind of
Like a letter.
yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe she was an intern, but she comes in and her name's not Rebecca. What's her name?
I'll look it up. I forget her name. Margaret, or
Yeah. Maggie
yeah.
or Margaret. Yeah. Okay. So she comes and Margaret says to the woman, this is toward the end, um, well, past the halfway point at least, and she said something like, "Did you something the guy, or did you talk to the guy?" And she's like, "What guy?" So I didn't know if that was kind of a way of, I mean, she was referring to this chick's ex boyfriend who she had left,
Mhm.
but I didn't know if maybe that was some kind of way of saying that she um like if that was some kind of like hidden way of saying like kind of a nod to they never saw Tim either, you know. So she's like, what guy are you even talking about?
Hmm.
Even though Tim was in the office, but then again there was a guy at some point, some guy showed up for whatever to see her.
Maybe that was just her hallucinating or making that up too. That she was making these, that she didn't really have it under control. That she wasn't a person who was in, who kind of had a hold on her emotions, and she was imagining people coming to her for advice, and didn't really happen.
That's your theory, or you're
No,
asking
I'm
me if
I'm
that's what
just
I'm saying?
thinking out loud. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I never thought of that. I just thought that that was a weird thing to say, to put in there when she's like, "Did you talk to that guy?" And she's like, "What guy?" And then she's like, you know, "The guy that you were." And she's like, "Oh," because she has no idea who she's talking about.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if that was kind of a way to say just another little hint that this Tim dude was never there.
Hmm.
And so she doesn't know who she's talking about. I don't know. I just thought, why have that in there? You know?
And I did feel for Margaret when she kind of whether it really happened or not, the fact that she held on to that story so long, and she confides in this intern or whoever she is, and the intern's like, "Are you? Is this a test? Are you just
Yeah.
is this are you testing me?" And th- I felt really bad. It's like you hold on to this for so long, and you find someone who you feel comfortable with. You have this moment of vulnerability, and then they're like, "Are you messing with me? Like,
Right.
why are why are you playing with me?" But because it's this wild story.
It's such a surreal story. Imagine if, you just, I mean, because she was such a bubbly character, and imagine, uh, she's not the type of person. She's like, "I'm a great listener," but it's like, girl, you don't know what you're about to hear. And it's like the most surreal thing you could imagine. Yeah, my ex-boyfriend ate my kid and left his fingers on the table. And it's like, wait, what? You know? Yeah, such she she did not even know what to say to that. Another thing that I'm a little confused about is, um that has to do with my theory too, is the tooth. I don't really understand that. The tooth was clearly his. Uh
Hmm.
doesn't mean, you know, I just don't know where the tooth that was real.
Yeah.
And if she is imagining him and she's created this monster, out of David, then he clearly is missing a tooth. So the tooth is somebody's. Um, and the tooth could have just been an ex-boyfriend that was like, "Oh, you're going to get an abortion," and they didn't. Maybe she didn't want it because she was young, but she was afraid of the parents. And that can be such a traumatic thing. And I can imagine if a woman is pregnant and she's kind of maybe happy about it or even bittersweet about it, and then someone says, that's 20 years older, that's like, "No, you're not having this kid,"
Yeah.
um and yet she kind of wants it. I can't imagine what she must have gone through. So um and maybe his name was David and maybe he looked like that. Maybe that whole situation is true. I just don't think he showed up again. I don't think he ever showed up again. And for some reason, maybe she had his tooth. I don't know.
I think the tooth showed up in her daughter's bag, right? At
Yeah,
least she
and like
found it.
in her purse or in her little change purse or something like that. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever found a tooth in your change purse? Or
Yeah, I can't figure out how it would get there unless it was like a hand me down. Like her mom was like, "You can use my thing or whatever." And
maybe it was like a self sabotage kind of thing. She put it there knowing that she would find it to put these to maybe in an attempt to prevent her daughter from leaving.
maybe she thought it was a good luck charm and she was trying to give her daughter some good luck.
Josh just says, Chad, a permanent co host on Steve Talks Movies, Talk Indies. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You two have some great discussion. Thanks for coming by, Josh.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for
Yeah.
hanging out, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah. I wondered that. And that that exchange that they have when she finally confronts him at the park bench is very surreal because he kind of I didn't know if he was just playing with her or trying to make her think she was crazy, and that's another way that he would control her, or if he was really, or that was just her battling with herself. It was a very
Mhm.
strange interaction there.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Did you like the movie
I did,
overall? Yeah.
yeah. I the end I'm almost positive didn't happen because, like you said, it's like a dream and everything's really white, and the daughter is perfectly fine with this baby showing up out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And their voices, there's like an echo to their voice, like it seems very dreamlike. So I knew that wasn't real, but when she does cut him open and take the baby out, um, and he stays alive for a while when
Yeah.
she's cutting the baby out. And I kept thinking, that knife is pretty deep. You might want to have some shallow cuts because you're going a
Yeah,
little.
yeah, yeah.
And that was like a serrated knife. It wasn't a this that was that wasn't a quick one either. This the big serrated knife.
Yeah, I don't yeah, I think that it was a descent into madness, and by the end, when it just went balls out and, like, it just outlandish stuff where she's at this hotel or whatever, imagining this stuff, and then just kind of gone, and then she's and she's locked away in a hospital, and maybe her daughter does come in and say that, not in that spirit, but kind of says because she was worried about her mom and knew her mom needed to get help, and so
Hmm.
maybe she wasn't. Maybe that's what she was saying. I think she said, "I'm not scared anymore," or something like that. Um, but either way, she's lost, and I think and her face changes, and she goes from being happy to like sad again. So that might be more of that kind of like struggle when her face changes of wanting to come out and face the reality of. But yeah, I think it's just I think the whole thing is just a descent into madness because she doesn't want her daughter to leave, and
Hmm.
so I mean, she's screwing this guy, trying to keep her any chance she can get. She's calling this guy for some booty calls and trying to spice it up in the bathroom, whatever. It feels like a desperate attempt at even their sex feels like it feels very like it's frustrating, like she's really not having fun,
Hmm.
like it's just somebody who's using this as some kind of crutch and escapism, and it doesn't mean a thing.
Right. And like this distraction, because later in the film, when he's with her daughter and he's concerned and wants to kind of do like an intervention almost, she doesn't seem very happy that he's there. Um,
Yeah,
doesn't seem like they have much of an emotional connection. Even he seems to have a connection with her, but she doesn't seem like she has any with him.
yeah, he does. I wouldn't, I don't know why, but she doesn't. She's weird. I mean, we don't know much about her other than her, kind of losing her mind and stuff.
Yeah. But to your point, I kind of thought the baby in the oven was like a bun in the oven kind of thing, where it was a reference to pregnancy or something, because
Mhm.
the baby in the oven that starts screaming when she opens the door, and that was I think there's not um, very many of those, like those moments where you get surprised. You're surprised. It's more of a slow burn, but that moment was pretty well done, I thought.
Yeah, and that's another moment. This is going to sound really bad, but that's another moment in the movie where I got excited because anytime a movie pushes the envelope, then I don't know what to expect. Um, I mentioned this before on some podcast somewhere. I think a couple times when Halloween 2018 came out. I think it was, and at the beginning, within the first 10 minutes or so, Michael Myers kills like a 12-year-old kid. And I got so excited because Michael doesn't kill kids, Um, I don't recall him killing a kid. Jason doesn't. Jason doesn't either, I don't think. But anyway, Michael doesn't. And so when they had him kill a kid, I was like, yes, because at that point it becomes less predictable.
Yeah.
Instead of like, well, there's a kid coming home with his dad from a baseball. He's safe because of his age. And
Mm,
so you've got this baby in the oven. It's like, oh wow, okay, nothing is sacred here.
yeah.
So that's why I don't get excited about seeing babies in ovens, but you know what I'm saying, man.
I do, yeah. No, I think a lot of movies, I think what a lot of them fail to do is kind of set that bar for these are the stakes. And once you know that those are the stakes, then you know that they will go to that place. So it makes you worry about everything later. So and
Yeah,
that the sooner it sets that okay, this is where we'll go. This is the length that we'll go to.
yeah.
Then you worry, okay, if this if a kid gets stuck with Michael Myers and they're gonna die. Like so you
Mhm.
have that level and you know what the stakes are quickly. And I think a lot of movies either choose not to do that or kind of shy away from it. But I think that's important to do, to kind of let you know how far they're willing to go.
Yeah, and yeah, there, and I agree. And the earlier the better, because then you don't you know, you're not safe all of a sudden.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Josh, that is one way to react to that. Totally get what you mean.
yeah, it makes me sound horrible, but glad you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, we do. Yeah, and it kind of seemed, I don't know if you'd call it a jump scare, but when she goes to touch it and it starts to scream,
Yeah.
I like that was, and there's not very many of those moments in this one, but I thought that was having, because you don't really expect it in this kind of movie, and then it
Mhm.
happens, and it's not done in a, it didn't feel cheap or kind of out of place. It had a point to it.
I also wondered, as far as like the baby, you know, when I was growing up, there were all these urban legends about stuff like this woman put her baby in the oven, and then like dress the turkey like a baby, or just put the, you know, just I've heard growing up, I would hear stuff like that, little things like that, um, or put the baby in the microwave, and you know, I don't know if that was some kind of like postpartum
Hmm.
depression thing, if it really happened somewhere, and then it just, you know, or if it was just a urban legend, kind of like a creepy pasta of the 70s or 80s, um, with that, you know, before creepypasta. So I don't know, but I did wonder too,
Hmm.
the symbolism behind the oven, and if it had anything to do with uh, her potentially doing that because of her, you know, fit that she has or whatever, or her episodes that she has, or that's how she pictures her kid, because I don't know the protocol for abortion, and if she had a, whether she had a late term abortion or an early one. Um, she most likely, if she regretted it, most likely didn't picture. If it was very early, she most likely didn't picture her baby as an embryo. She
Hmm.
pictured it as a baby, as it was going to be, and so maybe, I don't know if they incinerate them, if they put them in the dumpster. I don't know. You
Hmm.
know, I know that they do that, but I don't know if there are some places that, you know, that incinerate them, or if, especially if you're late term, you can have the baby cremated or whatever. So I didn't know if man, dude, this stuff is hard to talk about. Got me
Yeah,
out here.
it's a heavy one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought maybe it could have been symbolic for how she perceives her child, or maybe how she perceived what she did to it.
Hmm.
Or it could have just been a scary thing, like a creepy thing, you know, which would make sense too, just to have a dream um, of seeing this uh, baby in an oven all charred up. Or it could also just the way she kind of see, because the baby was supposedly eaten,
Yeah.
which I don't believe it was eaten ever, but I think that yeah, I don't think anybody ate the baby.
No, I did wonder if, because the way she talks about the baby, she talks about how she's never loved anything the way she loved Ben, and there's some, the flashbacks of the baby, now that I think about it, are similar in style to the end, where it's
Mhm.
almost like a dream, where it's really white and like, this glow to it, or this kind of like outline or this highlight. But the way she talks about it made me think that it was born, and maybe he put it in the oven to kill it after.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole other thing of theories if you're talking about a kid who it was actually born. You know, I keep referring to how this baby was aborted,
Mhm.
um, but the story that she tells, the baby was healthy and had been born, um, but she had a, but that could be because she just had another baby that wasn't really born. So
Hmm.
maybe it's just a, you know, another cycle of, I had this kid that wasn't born. I mean, she could have been pregnant from. That's another theory that I had, is that this baby that she was holding was either her imagination, uh, obviously, the baby wasn't real, or that she had gotten pregnant by what's his face, the married guy,
Oh, okay.
and, and that maybe she did that again because she was lactating too at one point.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was just I don't know if that was to show us that yet again she's pregnant, or she's, you know what, she could have been, or she could have been so far gone that uh her body could have been truly, because your mind has this strange ability to convince your body of certain things,
Mhm.
and she could have been so far gone believing that she, uh, this baby, hearing this baby cry and stuff. And I've heard that that the chemically somehow the female's body, I guess, especially if they're pregnant, they can lactate if they hear their body. They
Mhm.
will start to lactate if their body if they hear a baby cry.
Mhm.
And
Like a reaction.
yeah, and have you ever seen The Office? There's a
I haven't, no.
No, well, there's an episode in there that uh, one of the characters starts to cry around with a woman who he knows just had a baby. So he's like going wah wah and looking at her breasts, and he mentions that he heard this once, so he's just trying to get her to lactate while she's at work. And so yeah, she could have just been so far gone that she was her body was like manifesting in that way.
Hmm. Yeah, so I wonder if so David, since people interact with him, was he really there? Was he a real person? And I don't know. It's maybe all that was her imagination too.
Um, yeah, I mean,
That's a tough
I don't
one.
know. I mean, I know we don't see David's face when he's interacting, but we see enough of it to know it's Tim Roth.
Mhm.
Like the camera, I think, is behind him right here, and I think we see part of his face or the back of his head or something. But there's such a heavy, unreliable narrator that I think that's just part of it at that point. Maybe that's just how she's perceiving it.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily ruin my theory. Um, It's just that you would think that if my theory was correct, that someone would be able to think back or watch the movie again and notice, just like Bruce Willis, nobody's interacting with him.
Right.
You don't realize that, and so I kept that in mind. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I did wonder something else, and this is the biggest mystery to me: is why did she have a British accent the whole movie?
I was wondering if that might have been part of it as well,
Hmm.
because not only does she have a British accent, she met David in, was it in Canada?
Yeah, it was like Canada where she met him.
And yet he has a British accent. So that kind of supports my theory too. That makes me feel like um, this is a monster that she created and on her own, gave him an accent. Because what are the chances? I mean, I'm sure there are just like there's probably British people who live here in my town in Michigan, but um, to go to Canada and meet some guy that's old enough to be your dad and then fall in love with him, and he happens to have a British accent. So I don't know.
Yeah, I wondered why she had a British accent. Like, if that was just a tick or something.
And she, at some point in the movie too, she talked about being. It may have been when she was talking to the intern, where she was talking about. She made it sound like she was just promiscuous and she was looking and sleeping around and just searching for something. So, um, like her daughter,
Mhm.
doesn't know who the dad is, and I think that that may have been the same case when when she was 20 or whatever,
So
sleeping around, got pregnant, and then maybe had an abortion, miscarriage, killed the kid. I don't know, and then deals with the guilt for the rest of her life through these crazy episodes.
hmm. So the fact that her daughter was leaving triggered all these could be why she's feeling that now. She's
Yeah,
alone again. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And Josh, who hasn't seen The Office?
Right, dude. What is
Yeah.
going on with that?
I don't know. I haven't. I don't know. I've been avoiding all these years. I'll get in
I
one of these days.
I just talked to somebody who was it? I think it was my mom. And somebody else too had seen The Office. And I'm thinking, I just assume everybody in the world has seen the greatest sitcom ever made.
Wow, really?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
I'm at the end of it. Well, I think I'm on season 8. I think there's 9 seasons. But I'm on my third run through of it. Same with
Better than
Seinfeld too.
oh,
It's
okay.
up there with Seinfeld. I love them both.
There's some bad seasons of Seinfeld though. There's some well, I don't say seasons. There's some stretches that aren't
Maybe
that
some
great.
episodes toward the end. I wasn't a big fan of the finale, and there's a couple stinkers, but man, those characters I love that show. And Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm on my third run through Curb Your
Oh,
Enthusiasm too.
love Curb Enthusiasm.
Yeah,
It's by far the greatest ever made.
yeah.
Yeah, when Larry David left Seinfeld, there was a noticeable drop. And yeah,
Thank God we got Curb then, like 10 or 11 seasons of it. So
they're making another one. I think they're in the middle of it, or I
I
think they
believe
were
it.
planning on it. Yeah.
But it's just the humor is so similar.
Hmm.
I mean, you could tell that Larry David was one of the writers,
Oh yeah, it's so good.
co-creator.
It's so good. It's ridiculous. I love Curb Enthusiasm.
Hmm.
Consistent, though, throughout the whole thing. I think pretty consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah. So Resurrection. Yeah, good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I love the ending and the ambiguous story, and I tried to go back and find clues on whether he was a person, but then I saw the cafe scene where he was getting his tea, and I thought, okay, maybe he is a real person, but I don't believe that she cut a baby out of him. It just didn't seem like that kind of story. So
yeah,
something else is going on in here. She has like a mental break with her daughter leaving, and she's going to be alone. And the fact that she had her daughter to kind of fill that void, and now she's leaving because she slept around and just wanted to get pregnant. So that's ending for her. She's alone. She doesn't really have a partner or anything else, and so maybe that's kind of what triggered the whole thing.
So do you think that she was seeing him at the beginning, like in the store and at the park bench and stuff? Do you think that she was really seeing him at that point?
I go
Like this
back and
guy from
forth
her
with it.
past?
Maybe he did show back up again. I thought maybe he did show back up, and he's just finding a way to torment her or to. But why show up now? It seems a little too convenient to show up now when her daughter's about to leave to college. I think she said she's only 2 hours away, and that seems like a world away to Margaret when they
Hmm.
talk about it.
Yeah.
So, and it seems like odd for him to be in that conference. That's where she first sees him. Seems like a weird place for him to be to kind of
Yeah.
be noticeable. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird one, but she does find the blanket though in his apartment or in his room.
Hmm.
So I wondered, is that her room that she just has items in? Because she does carry the blanket with her, and she holds on to it.
I mean, it could be that hotel room and the one at the end could have been the same place. You know, it's just because we're dealing with an unreliable narrator. Because without a doubt, that end with their meeting did not happen.
Right. Yeah.
At least not how we saw it happen. So it could be a place that she's, I don't know, renting or owns or something, and she goes there to uh, get psychotic or whatever. I don't know. Keeps this stuff there, like the blanket.
Yeah. Like a keep. Well, the woman at the desk doesn't recognize her though either. She tells her you either have to buy a room or leave.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
so that's what I thought of too, because she didn't seem like they knew who she was.
Yeah. Well, then it could be just, I mean, so much of this just could have been in her head, whether
Mm.
she be um, at home, laying in bed, dreaming, um, just having a psychotic break. Yeah.
That's what I really like about these types of movies is there really isn't an answer, like a concrete explanation. That's what makes them fun, I think.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah. I don't understand people who see a movie like this and get really pissed at the end because they want to know. They want to know everything. They want to have it all spelled out for them. And it's like, wouldn't you rather just like think of it and just, try to come up with your own conclusions? I love those, man. Where the second they're done, it's just like, it's not really over, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Credits are
exactly.
rolling, but your mind is still in the movie and still trying to figure out, you're given enough pieces to, you know, come up with your own, you know. I think I was talking to someone once who didn't like It Follows because the end.
Hmm.
Have you seen It Follows?
Oh yeah, I love it.
And yeah, it's one of my favorite horror movies. And because you see somebody walking behind them, and it's like, well, is that the thing following them? And it's like, well, we don't need to know that, and who has the AIDS now or whatever? Who has the thing now? Like between the two, is it going to kill them both or what? Um, and is that the thing behind them? I mean, I think it clearly is, and that they're just. I don't understand why. Why would you, keep the suspense going after the credits roll? Like, rather than just like, would you have really rather seen the it thing die? Just be obliterated, and then end of the movie, and then they walk down the sidewalk hand in hand, and everything is fine? Or is that really what you want?
Yeah, I don't want that. On one of these discussions, I will have watched the movie. The good news is, when I do get to this after the backlog, I will forget most everything because, besides a vague memory of Michael Myers, I love the end of It Follows, and I definitely say it was the thing behind them.
Absolutely, man. I mean, why else would they have somebody walking back there?
I kind of thought it was like the inevitability of death, no matter what. Like no matter
Yeah.
what, it's following you. I mean, it
Yeah.
follows all of us, really.
Yep.
But yeah, it's another good one. And I started reading reviews when I was done with Resurrection on Shutter, and it was a lot of people were pissed about the ending. It's like I don't know. I think it's neat. I think it's cool to, like you said, to kind of keep it going after the credits roll because you're just getting started.
So, what do you think people? I mentioned to you before that I was surprised that more people aren't talking about this movie. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people aren't talking about? I mean, it's a it's well acted.
I think, and I don't want to sound like I'm being dismissive, but I think more people like slashers. I'm not a big fan of slashers, but I think people like that kind of genre because it's usually tied up because the bad person dies at the end or
Mm,
to be continued or whatever. There's always like they tie like a bow on the end of it. Um, it is kind of a little bit more straightforward and doesn't require a lot of thinking. Um, I think that's part. I think I don't want to I'm get on a tirade here, but I think modern audiences are looking for. They don't want to think too much. They just want to be entertained. They don't want to have to use their brain or to put things together
yeah.
without it being explained to them. There was a movie I watched yesterday that I thought was pretty good. It was like a Regression with Ethan Hawke, and I won't spoil it, but they you kind of get what's going on, but they take like a 5 minute break to explain everything to you in detail. This is what's happening, and it's like, why did you do that? You could have just left it and had us kind of figure it out on our own. Because if you're paying attention, you'll understand it. But I think they have to kind of take us by the hand, or they feel like they have to take us by the hand and explain
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah. What was the movie called?
Regression with Ethan Hawke.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's from 2006, 2007. It has I forget her name from Harry Potter. I forget her name, but yeah, it was an interesting movie. I thought it was a fun. It's like the like a play on the Satanic Panic of the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. But I like what they did with it, but then they just explained it to you in detail. It's like it would have been better if you didn't explain it, just let us figure it out because it you explained it with the story. We
Yeah,
know, but you're like, let me tell you what's happening. They take a minute.
yeah. I don't know. I get frustrated with people sometimes, and they're I know that people love the superhero stuff,
Mm,
but I'm one of those people who like well, who is it? Scorsese, who thinks that it's ruining stuff, you
it
know.
is, yeah,
And then I'm not bad mouthing people who are into comics or anything like that, but um, this is I've never seen cinema like this before, where it's just that's all it is, you know. And then occasionally you'll get something else that plays in a theater, but um, when I was growing up, you know, we had all kinds of all kind. I mean, you'd have some hardcore tear jerking drama that was number one, and then you'd have like something like Jaws or
mm,
something like E.T. that were, you know. But now it's just something from a comic book or DC or Marvel or whoever. I don't even know which one's which. Um, I just know there's one that people like more than the other, and they always bash the one, and I can't remember which one it is. I think they like DC. I don't know. I don't I don't watch those movies, and part of the reason why is I don't have interest, and I'm also it's almost like I boycott because I I don't want to contribute to the constant flow of this. You know,
yeah,
like if we all just stopped seeing these, they would stop putting them out.
yeah. I think people are getting to the point. I hope people are getting to the point where they're experiencing fatigue because all
Mhm.
these movies, all they do is they set up the next movie. They
Yeah,
just yeah.
and the same with prequels, sequels, and remakes. You know, if we stopped, I mean, there are some that I'm always going to see. I'm sorry, but no matter how bad the Halloween movies get, I'm always going to watch Michael Myers. I just am. Same with Evil Dead. You know, they could remake it 40 more times. I'll always enjoy the very, very first one the most, but I'm gonna, you know, see it. But there are some movies that um it just doesn't I scratch my head. It doesn't make any sense, you know, and you just why they would remake and now they're remaking them after they've only been out for less than a decade.
Yeah.
What is that? In you know, decent movies too. And now they're gonna remake The Exorcist. It's like
Hmm.
you have a movie that was put out in what 73, 74 that somehow still holds up, and there's just no reason. Just do your own thing. Do you know? So the more we go to theater and more we pay these things, or you know, and fork over money for sequels and remakes and stuff, the more they're just going to keep doing it instead of coming up with original content. So thank God we've got places, you know, companies like IFC Films and of course
Mhm.
A24, who's doing the Lord's work out there, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they are. I haven't seen everything. I've seen probably a dozen or so of their movies, and it's all gold. I trust them big time. I don't trust like Blumhouse.
No.
They put out a couple good ones. I can't off the top of my head. I can't remember. But then the last couple of Blumhouse movies I watched, and then they did the Black Christmas remake. I don't know if you saw that one, but
No, I passed on that.
yeah, dude, don't watch that.
Yeah. No.
Nobody likes that.
No, no, I was kind of waiting for reviews and all of them are really negative, so I thought, "Oh, I'm okay."
Yeah, and it's nothing like the original. It's not even the same story. It's just a how can we make this feminist film, and then we'll slap a horror thing. I know we'll take that really popular movie from the '70s and we'll put that on the title, and then we'll. But yeah, it's so bad even feminists hate it.
And,
All the
Carl
women
says,
hate it.
yeah, I've never heard of it before, so advertisement. As a lover of '89 Batman, I felt nothing when I saw Keaton in the new Flash trailer. I'm jaded, I guess. Yeah, it feels cheap. There's not enough quality around in recent years, or if there is, you have to go find it. I'm not hearing of that much that might interest me. And he is a huge comic book movie fan, by the way. Just not enough originality. Any opinions on Barbarian? I think I liked it, but I also think I hated it. I haven't seen that one. Have you seen Barbarian?
I did. I saw it after everybody else. I think I saw it in December.
Hmm,
I watched it finally, and I did like it. I think I went in blind, which is definitely the best way to go about any movie, but particularly something like this. But I think as it neared the end, it got a little bit more hokey.
hmm.
But it's a good movie. It's funny. Um, it's not a comedy, but it has some very dry humor, especially
Nice.
with Justin Long. And where somebody might watch the whole movie and think, "What are you talking about? Nothing was funny in this." You got to kind of have that, um, sense of dry humor to recognize that this actually is supposed to be kind of comical here.
That's my middle name. Blumhouse began well, then has gone for a slide. Yeah, it's
Yep.
been really hit and miss. I didn't enjoy the last 15 minutes of Barbarian, but I love the first half. I do have my. I know I have a few more days to go for the 32 in 32 days, but then I'm next month I'll start the 24 A24 videos in 24 days.
I heard that you were doing that, and
Yeah,
I have to recommend the Florida Project.
it's on the
If you
list.
haven't,
Yeah,
okay. That I don't even know if you'll like it. It's just straight up slice of life. It's not about anything, but it has Willem Dafoe in it, and I love that guy.
can't go wrong.
He's and everybody else, most everybody else, they're just not even actors, but you would
Hmm.
never know it. This is their first thing.
Yeah, I'll send you the list. I posted on our forum, but yeah, I have the 24 the 24 the 24. I'm not sure when I'm going to start. It'll be
I'm
probably.
assuming you've seen the popular horror ones like The Witch and Hereditary and Midsummer.
Yeah, I thought about not putting those on the list, but then I feel like I kind of have to talk
Oh, you're
about
gonna
them.
rewatch them? You're
Yeah,
not gonna explore ones you haven't seen yet?
there were a few that I was on the fence with. There was a couple that maybe I'll I kind of feel like I have to kind of do those, but there was one. Uh, yeah, I'll send you the list, but there was a few that were dramas that I didn't know A24 was even involved in. Or Climax, there was one about a dance hall when there's like LSD. It's like the punch is spiked with the LSD or something. Lots of
Hmm.
hokey ones.
On their website now. I didn't. There's a couple really popular movies that I have not seen that I bought on DVD just because they were or Blu-ray and that I still haven't watched. I haven't even opened them yet. That's X and Pearl.
On the list. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things, and so there was one. I think there was one 20 A24 movie that I did not like at all, but I think it was kind of early on.
Hmm.
I don't remember what it was. There's a lot of these that I've been wanting to see for so long, like Lamb.
That's on the list too. I have to watch that one. That looks so cool.
I've only seen like Saint Maud and um, is Barbarian of A24?
No, it's I think that's
Okay.
Paramount or somebody. Yeah.
Midsummer, and then um, Under the Silver Lake.
That's on the list too. Yeah.
Uh, Summer Nights. I can't remember if I saw that or not. Hereditary.
What'd you think about Hereditary? I know it's very divisive.
I think it's one of the greatest horror movies ever made.
I love it. I love that movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those movies where you can watch it 3 or 4 times and still probably see something that you didn't notice before. Usually an old naked person, but
Yeah.
Killing of a Sacred Deer. Okay, that's A24. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the best movie I saw last year.
Yeah, I like that one too. I've seen it, but I think it's on the list. Thought I left on the list.
I think It Comes at Night.
That's a good
Um,
one.
yeah, that was really good. Um, The Monster. I don't know if I saw that or not.
I think that I don't think that made the cut, but that was on the list. I think I'd seen that one before though.
The Green Room. Very, very good.
Was the Northman A24? I can't remember.
The Northman. That's newer, right?
Yeah, with his name?
Uh,
Um,
I don't know
Skarsgård?
if it is or not. It's at the I'm nearing the bottom. Oh, Tusk was the one that I'm not a big fan of. The
Oh yes,
A24.
no interest in that one.
That seems like uh, trauma compared to the kind of high quality stuff that they put out.
It kind of seemed to me like it was in the vein of like a Human Centipede kind of thing.
Yeah. Or there's a movie called Boxing Helena that is similar to that was done by Jennifer Lynch, David Lynch's daughter.
Mhm.
That's worth watching, starring Julian Sands, who is still missing right now, I guess, out in California mountains.
Oh crap! That's with the actress from Twin Peaks, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. Yeah, maybe I haven't seen a dozen, but yeah, I think those are all the ones that I've seen. And then I watched one called Tangerine something. Maybe it's just called Tangerine.
Hmm. And Willem Dafoe was the best part of the Northman, obviously.
He's
Yeah,
great.
it's actually a. I just looked it up. It's a It's a Regency focus movie,
Hmm.
but it does have those vibes. And The Lighthouse is on my list. So there's another one with Pattinson, The Rover, I think it's called.
I think I may have seen. Is that where he plays him and his brother?
I
No,
think so.
that's something else.
There was the what was it called? Remember this? Like this older guy who is a well, it was in like a concentration camp, and he's out for revenge or something.
Hmm.
Lots of different types of movies. Or there's another one, the Kill Squad. Yeah, there's a lot to it. I thought I'd have trouble getting 24 of them, but I had trouble narrowing it down to 24.
Yeah. Um, I'd love to see them all. Oh, I know a movie that feels like an A24 movie, but I don't think it is. Have you seen uh Come to Daddy?
No, what is that
Oh,
about?
that has um Elijah Wood in it with the weirdest haircut you'll ever see. It's I don't want to. All I will say is that he goes out to see his dad after not having seen him for like 20 years or something like that.
Hmm.
And it is a great movie. It feels very much like an A24 movie.
Okay,
Come
I'll watch
Come
it.
to Daddy. And I think it's streaming somewhere.
Let me see.
But it's one of these movies where it's like, what kind of movie is this? Is this a comedy? Is this drama? Is this horror? Is this and then it has different stages where you start, you're like not sure what to think about what this movie is, what's really going to happen with what this is about. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Come to Daddy.
It is on Amazon. Looks
Cool.
like. Yeah, so I'll watch it.
Yeah, definitely worth a watch, man. And
Cool.
Elijah Wood is so good in it. He's
Just
he's great. That's right. I think his film company, I think, is the one who put that out. He owns Spectre Vision.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I remember thinking Tim Meyer and I wrote we were approached by Josh Mallerman's production team, Spin a Black Yarn, and they had us write a screenplay for our book Wormwood, and they've been shopping it around for the last 2 years. The screenplay has been done for a long time, and it got into Elijah Wood's company's hand, but they passed on it. And I remember when they first got it, I remember thinking, this is not a good fit. This is not. I've seen Spectre Vision's movies, like Greasy Strangler is
Hmm.
another movie, which you haven't seen Greasy Strangler?
No.
Oh my goodness, dude. Oh my gosh.
Greasy Strangler.
Yeah, it's like an X-rated. It's kind of feels like an X-rated Napoleon Dynamite, only just because, uh, or the guy who did Napoleon Dynamite and what was the other one? Nacho Libre. Very bright, and kind of cheery,
Hmm.
but it's a horror comedy, and it's completely outlandish.
Oh.
And yeah, Elijah Wood has great taste in movies,
Hmm.
um, except for Wormwood. But
Of course, yeah.
no, I knew they would pass. It's fallen into some hands where I'm like they're not gonna take this. Why read that? It's not a good fit.
Sometimes it's better that they pass. It's just not a good fit.
Yeah,
Josh, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night also feels very A24. It's very
yeah,
good.
that's a great movie, great vampire movie. That has a scene in it that every probably once a year I go on YouTube and I just watch that scene because I love it. It's got
Hmm.
some cool music in it and stuff. That's a yeah. I can't remember. Is that an Arabic film or something? It's not American. I
Iranian,
know that.
and then
Iranian. Okay.
Iranian. Yeah, looks like Iranian. Yeah, it's all put on the list too. Uh, uh, yeah, Iranian. Interesting. Cool. A bunch of new movies now.
You're gonna have a long list, dude.
Yeah, I have a long list, but that's good stuff. Yeah, very good stuff. I'll send you the my list. Yeah,
Okay.
Iran was the producer. Um, I don't see him on the. See if I can find him on IMDb. I don't see his name on it though.
Elijah Wood was in a really good remake too, for a movie called Maniac. It's kind of a cult classic, but
Yeah, I have seen that. It was
I tell you,
strange.
man, I think I like his remake more than I do the original.
Hmm.
It was really well done. They're both very gritty and just nasty movies.
Yeah, it was like it's the point of view, right? Don't we? Isn't that one from his point of view?
For his, yeah, for the remake, it is. Yep.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, lots of movies to watch, but good stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for recommending Resurrection. It was really I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm glad you got around to it, man. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, so
Sorry
I don't know
about
what got it
sorry
from
about
you.
happiness.
No, I liked Happiness. It was a tough because like the father son scenes were like you
Yeah,
just find yourself like moving like squirming in your chair, just like
you just
hearing their
can't believe that
conversation.
that this is happening in a movie.
Yeah.
The conversations. It's just like I can't believe that I'm listening to you guys talk about what you're talking about right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the just and Philip Seymour Hoffman, just his character and just the you feel like you're down in the trenches with him, like you like he's like this lonely, depressed, like lost person, and you really feel it every minute
Yeah.
of it. You feel that, and the his neighbor. But I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer because the trailer spoils some great moments
Does
from
it?
that one. Yeah.
If you like Philip Seymour Hoffman, he did a movie called Love Liza that's really good too.
Oh.
About a his wife killed herself and left behind. You don't even meet her. I don't think it happens right at the beginning. He has in his possession a suicide note that he can't bring himself to leave or to read. So it's just a slice of life thing of him coping with life afterwards. I wrote a novella that came out at the end of last year that I got the idea. I mean, my novella is so far different, but it deals with kind of like the same thing, having a note, not being able to bring yourself to read this
Hmm.
letter. But yeah, it's
Wow.
a good movie. But
Huh.
like I said, it's one of those movies where it's not really for everyone. Florida Project is another one of those. Just any of these like slice of life ones that I like. I don't need a plot. I just if it's you got good characters and good acting and they're doing cool things, I'll watch. I just like to watch that. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Like a fly on the wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on the list too. I always have a bunch of new tabs open when we talk. Just a bunch of new movies. Good stuff though.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks again for recommending Resurrection. I enjoyed it a lot. Rebecca
Yeah.
Hall. I mean, I was impressed.
Yeah, she was good. I can't remember what else I've seen her in.
She was in The Town. She was in what was that movie? The Prestige. She's always it seems like she's always like a side character or like, kind of off to the side, but she
Mhm.
front and center in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, I know you have another engagement here in a little bit, but
Yeah, gotta talk more movies. I gotta
yeah,
talk about, tonight at 5, in 20 minutes, live stream Final Guys. You can catch us on YouTube every Tuesday night at 8, and tonight we're talking about Something in the Dirt.
hmm,
Um, so people find out what I thought of it, or what all four of us thought of Hunter Shea, Jack Campisi, and Jason Brandt, what we all thought of it. Tune in. We talk about other movies ahead of time, like the movies that we saw, books that we read, and then about 40 minutes in, we get to our main event and we talk about the movie. But we also talk about horror movies.
very
So
nice. Yeah, good stuff. Would that be spoiler filled? That one?
we do not at first, then we do like a spoiler bell, and then so people can bail out or whatever. Um, yeah. So, but we warn people before we get to a further discussion about spoilers.
Good stuff. It's on the list too. Or did you not like? Oh, I don't want to spoil it. But,
I don't recommend it. No,
okay. There's
it's
some of
not.
the
You might love
reviews.
it, dude. It's very it's intelligent, but it's boring.
That a,
It's not as
a well made film that goes nowhere is one of the reviews.
yeah. Put it this way, we always use um, it's it's supposed to be shot in kind of like this weird documentary style about these nerds with all this math and this geo stuff, and every Tuesday night we always we always create names instead of Chad Lutzke. It'll say something else that's usually a pun.
Mhm.
So tonight I'm trying to decide between uh documentary or the movie's called Something in the Dirt, Dumb Thing in the Dirt, because I don't know that I liked it that much.
That's a good one. I like that. The second one's good. Kind of it's fitting for the episode, I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's good
So
stuff. So everyone that's watching, go by and check out the Final Guys on YouTube and check their live stream and go watch that conversation. Chad, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the
yeah,
time. I
thank
know you're
you,
busy. Yeah.
and thanks for everybody, Josh and Drew, and there's other names that Carl,
Carl. Yeah.
Carrie, Carl,
Mm.
Heather.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody,
Cool.
and
So
all the creepers that aren't typing.
Yellow Creepers. And if someone wants to get in touch with you or check out your work, where can they find you?
ChadLutzke.com, and I have a new book out called 3 Smile Mile that just came out last month that you can get right now, and I got 19 other books.
Yeah, you're a busy guy. Then the website is in the description, so be sure and check it out and go buy Chad's books. Leave a review, a good review. So thanks again, Chad. I really appreciate it, and
Yeah,
looking forward
thank
to the
you.
next one. Cool. Thanks everybody. We'll see everybody soon.